I'm going to yield the balance of my time, and I will turn to the ranking member for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, just a welcome to all of our witnesses that are joining us today. We're looking forward to your testimony, and thank you so much for being here. During the past 6 weeks, I've had the great privilege of being back home in my own state of Idaho, traveling throughout my district and listening to concerns raised by my constituents. A common theme I heard from them was the difficulty of living in a state with such a large federal footprint. Now, Idaho, like much of the West, is choked off with smoke due to catastrophic wildfire right now. It's a result of poor federal forest management, and local communities have few new economic opportunities as a result of that, particularly when so much of the federal land within Idaho's borders are locked away from wise management or multiple use. Unfortunately, federal regulations tourism, but also associated destruction of the very tribal sites that the monument was originally supposed to preserve. Earlier this year, the Bears Ears Intertribal Coalition shared photos of vandalism to sacred cultural sites and said these destructive incidents have been on the rise and have been a regular occurrence in Bears Ears. Drawing large circles on a map has not protected the area, and there's been no increase in resources or law enforcement presence. This bill would also allow the agencies to lock up millions of acres of land without receiving congressional approval, similar to the Antiquities Act. Locking up large swaths of federal land contradicts the multiple-use mandate of the federal land management agencies who are charged with balancing various uses such as energy development, timber harvesting, outdoor recreation, and grazing. These multiple uses are important to enhancing tribal economic opportunities, as we heard from witnesses representing the Intertribal Timber Council and the Southern Ute Tribe earlier this year during an oversight hearing on tribal management. Another bill on today's hearing, H.R. 8719, would designate thousands of acres as new national conservation and wilderness areas in Arizona. This bill would make it much more difficult to eradicate invasive species like bufflegrass, which Chair Grijalva recently said was a fuel for wildfire, a threat to biodiversity, a threat to species, and a threat to the landscape that we all love and cherish. We cannot lose sight of the fact that when we designate new lands as wilderness from Washington, D.C., 1,000 miles from where those lands are actually located, it has real-life consequences. Just a few months ago, the subcommittee held a hearing on Representative Fazio's Wild Road Conservation and Recreation Enhancement Act, which seeks to create nearly 60,000 acres of new wilderness. That same area is now burning as we speak in the Rum Creek Fire, which Oregon Governor Kate Brown declared as an emergency. People across the West deserve to have their agencies increase the management of their lands, not impede management through restrictive designations. What may look good on paper thousands of miles away looks a lot different through smoke-infested flames on site. I hope today's discussion will be about how to properly balance land management objectives, promote self-determination for Indian tribes, and responsibly manage our natural resources rather than placing more restrictions on millions of acres of public land and adding more burden to a broken system. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.